Today is one of the most exciting days when you start to go tiny. Today's moving day. And so I want you guys to follow along down this beautiful little road as we prepare to have a tiny house set on this homestead. Yes, down this sweet little road and around the little corner here, you're going to find a beautiful piece of property that our great friends have decided to set a tiny house on, and they ask us to help them. We are so excited. So please, don't leave. You're going to want to see this. As you can see, Mr. Perfectionist is at it again, making sure he's got all of the dirt moved back around each one of those pads, making sure they're set really, really well. And then we had to do some tree trimming. Rowdy got the short end of that stick. But he's ready to go. And here comes branch number 1. That was 1. Here comes number 2. Hold on, sir. This one's bigger. That's number 2. And it's loud. And the final one. Timber! We have number 3. And now it's time to clean up. So they started a little fire over there, and we're going to burn off the smaller branches. And you can see they've made some firewood, and then you can see some bigger pieces of wood that is left over. And those logs, we're going to let them dry, and then we're going to slab them up and make some really cool things for the little tiny house, and maybe some other cool things along the way. But as you can see, they're going to have an awesome view out their back door. All the trees, all the deer. This used to have a pond, they say. Just getting it cleaned up so the tiny house is ready to go. What a wonderful place. And it's so peaceful. There they go. Gotta get it cleaned up. Pads are all ready. We're ready for a tiny house.
You know, if that tree could talk to us, I wonder what it would tell us.
Say, why'd you cut my limbs off?
You're so funny. I think they cut the limbs off so it didn't end up on the new tiny house.
Yeah. There's a few scattered out in there, but makes you wonder how many years it's been growing.
Yeah, I asked them that question. And Rowdy said that in the pictures from 1954, you could still see this tree.
Really? That's pretty cool.
So I can't imagine.
So that's 70 years,
right?
75 years.
You can also see the leaves starting to turn on it again.
Yeah.
The difference this year, when these leaves come back, it won't be here by itself anymore. It will have people with it.
Everybody to enjoy the shade it provides.
Yeah.
Shelter from the storms. Yeah, this property's not super wide, but it's pretty cool how you can see if you go from tip to tip, this one tree almost spans the entire property.
So here's what you've been waiting for. Here comes the house. Down the road it comes. Can't believe they can just drive one of these down the road. That still amazes me after watching so many. It's still an amazement to me. And here comes the house. Lights on. You can tell this man has done this several times. And as you watch him unload this house, you will be amazed. What a beautiful house. Oversized load. And that's where it's going to end up. But for now, yeah, it's still on the trailer. I thought it'd be fun for you guys to watch how he does this. These guys are solving the problem. And he's fixing to unload the house. You can see that. That's called a remote dolly. And he uses that nice little thing to maneuver this house perfectly in place. You can also see the set of wheels that's on the front of that. He uses that as well to help him dolly the house in exactly where it needs to go. So as he pulls this up, you can see he's trying to get a good angle to be able to get it into the property. Don't forget, this is 14 by 40, so this is long and it's pretty wide. You can see he pulls it up. He undoes some slots underneath that are holding it in place. Tilts it down. Make sure it's ready. Then he drives off. Just like that, the house comes off the trailer. And now you're going to get to watch him move it around. You can see him pulling out right there. So the trailer's basically on some blocks at the moment. And then he comes back in and he will maneuver it around as he gets off of it completely there. You can see him starting to lift up this end of it. He has the wheels set underneath of it now. He's giving himself a better angle to get in. And here it comes. He's got a pretty good ridge to get over right there as you come into the property. And as you'll watch, he struggles with that just a little bit, but maneuvers it quite magnificently as he comes around that corner. Figuring out all of your angles with this is almost like a big math problem, if you ask me. You can see him maneuvering it through all of the trees. They did have to cut a few trees down to get this little house in here. They might have been able to cut one more, but they cut as few as they could possibly cut because they love the idea of being in the trees with the nice and the quiet, and the trees protect them as well. You can see him maneuvering that between the post and the tree on the right there. He just brings it all the way in to the next tree, which I felt like was an interesting theory how he got to that, but he brings it right in. Then he kind of has to reset. You can see him going through that little dip right there. He pulled it in, clear into this tree. Then he resets himself, as you can see how he does that here. You can see the arms on the top are bracing it and helping him pull it in as well. Just quite a remarkable little process, if you ask me. You can see him lower it right there. You can see him come off of the house. You can see him put his extending arms down as well, so he can get by the tree. He just maneuvers it around very easily. And as he said right there, he's going to go to the other end and straighten it out a little bit so that he can get a better angle to get around this tree. And he's doing this all by himself. No one is helping him. He is literally moving this entire house with that little machine and his expertise at moving these houses. So he moved the end of it around, and now he came back to the front again, and he is moving it around this tree, as you can see. Straightens it out. Comes over here to the next pile of trees. He's going to maneuver it around that pile of trees. Just perfectly. It's just amazing to watch this. This whole process took about 30 minutes. I've shortened it a little bit. But for the most part, this was exactly how it worked. You can see He readjusts again right here. Let's see, the house is pretty long. The front door. And away it goes to its final destination. Moves pretty quickly. No, I didn't speed it up or slow it down. This is actually what it was like moving it. So you can see the pads over there. You can see him moving the house that direction. You can see him walking back and forth, making sure he's going in the right way and that he's not going to get anything from behind. You can see the 20 pads that they laid out over there and poured the other day, if you watched the first video. And it just walks right over there. This is a 14 by 40 foot tiny house that they're just going to walk over there to the pads and set. You can see him go past with his little dolly, and then he's going to pull it back to the right there so that he ends up pretty close on the side over there. And as you can see, he's pretty much doing this all by himself. Everybody else is kind of standing around watching. Just an amazing process to watch. Great skills. So he puts that into the house, kind of in place. There was some string line that was set there originally that will allow him to see exactly where they had the house laid out with all of the pads. As you can see, he kind of set that in down on those pads. Now he's going to come around to the other end of the house. Oh, he got stuck in the fire pit. That actually was an old tree that they had cut down and they had to burn it out. And he attaches to this end of the house, very similar that he did earlier. You can see that here. He's going to push his arm up so that he has leverage there. He picks up the house. You can see him kind of crawling underneath. Remember those tires that we talked about in the beginning? He is unhooking those now so that the house can be moved over on the rest of those pads and sat down right where it needs to go. You could also see Sean came around the corner with some of those blocks. And you can see Rowdy doing the same thing there. This house will eventually be sitting on cinder blocks and pads. You can see him start to move the house over into place. And you notice that he doesn't sit it exactly on the pads yet. He lowers it down and then he puts two little pieces of wood underneath this end. And those little pieces of wood will allow him to scoot the house into place exactly where it's going to end up. And it'll be perfect on all of those pads as well. You can see him putting those in there. And one on the other side. Then he lets the house sit down on those pads. Just like that. And now he goes back to the other end of the house as well. And he will be lifting it up. And you see it slide. Now it's in place. You can also see him maneuver it to the right just a smidge, and you can see Sean directing him because they laid those pads out and they had string line and all of that good stuff to make sure that it was right exactly where they needed it when they laid out all of those pads, because there's runners underneath this house and that's what they want this to sit on. You can see them starting to put the blocks down underneath the house. And they will sit it on 20 cinder blocks. So they've got that in pretty much in place. You can see Sean getting those set underneath there. And they're doing the same thing on the other side as well. And then you'll see that after they get all those done, you can see the cinder blocks that they've already set there. And he comes around again, and we do basically the same process on the other end of the house. You can see him attaching to this end of the house now. He picks it up just like he did the other end. And you can see them come around, and they are going to insert those blocks on this end as well. And there you have it. All the blocks are set. It's time to lower it into place one final time. Voila! We now have a tiny house that is set on pads and cinder blocks. Now the question is it level? You guys know him. So this is the first time. And yes, it is completely level. So how about a look from the ground floor? As you can see the cinder blocks a little bit better right there. Like I said, those are actually underneath a runner. There's a 4x4 runner underneath this entire thing, and there's actually 4 of them. So that's why you have the 20 blocks, and they're all in a line so that it sits perfectly on that. And it's nice and level, as I showed you. The back side of this will get a French door that allows them to see out onto this beautiful property in the back. And there'll be a window for the kitchen as well in here. But that house in here just looks perfect. This homestead is taking shape. Check out the trees starting to change. What a peaceful place they have picked to retire in. We are so excited for them. And the leftover logs that we are also excited to make cool things with. But you can see how it just fits into this property just perfect. We are so excited for them. We know that this has been a dream for them. And as you can see that, it's going to look just amazing in this space. So what do you think they have to say about this? Let's ask them. How does it feel? You have a house on property that you've dreamed of doing.
Yep.
Yep, feels good.
Feels good?
Feels
And I don't
good.
have no neighbors, and I ain't got no visitors.
And we can pee behind a tree.
Behind the tree.
You can take that part out.
Or not.
Or not. Oh.
So how long have you dreamed of doing this?
I don't know how long.
We wanted something out in the country for
Long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
And how many trees have you had to cut down to be able to get this in here today?
Don't even want to guess.
Okay, several?
Uh-huh.
Yes, several.
Yep.
And this is a 14 by...
40.
Okay, all right. And you're gonna have a kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, living room,
screened-in porch.
Screen in back porch.
right off so you can see the trees and the deer in the back, right?
Yeah, in the back.
The back. And nothing happens without blue.
Blue, that's right.
Blue.
Yep,
Okay,
all
guys,
blue.
we are super excited for you. Everybody, make sure you subscribe, like, because this journey's only begun. And woohoo! Here we
Yeah.
go.
Woohoo.
Welcome to Tiny House Living.
Tiny house,
Right.
And here's the other half of the crew. And there you have it. One more tiny house that's set. And as we go home, we wanted to share this amazing picture with you. It's a beautiful place, and we're excited for our friends. Make sure you stay tuned because we're going to do the inside next. And we want you to follow along on this journey with us because it's going to be fun. So for now, from Disney, Oklahoma, we'll see you guys next time. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. If you guys got questions, make sure you send them to us.